What do you say to someone who thinks they're saying something to you that's trying to be helpful, but it actually cuts you deeply? Let's get into it. One of the biggest problems we have is actually defining the problem, because when we think about bigotry, racism, and discrimination, they're all interplays of basically the same types of things. Bigotry is particularly an attitude or a belief towards particular groups, which could include race and not necessarily be race. Racism is the larger context one, where we're talking about a particular antagonistic, discriminatory, or prejudicial view against a particular group based on race or ethnic group. Discrimination is the unjust or prejudicial treatment against a particular group, whether it be sex, age, race, or whatever type of category you're looking upon. A lot of times what happens when people are talking about these things often get interplayed with each other, but from a nuanced standpoint, most people don't understand or appreciate the nuance of each. And for a great deal number of Americans out there, racism or discrimination is often shaped by their perception of what they've seen or heard from the past. We often forget that Jim Crow was such a heightened period of time because it was literally institutionalized systemic racism against specific groups. Since those things are no longer in effect, a lot of people refer to those as their reference point for understanding what racism, bigotry, or discrimination is. But since that time, we've kind of moved into this period of time of what I call soft, nuanced, microaggressive type of bigotry. And that can be a lot harder to detect. When I was a student at the University of Tampa, I was the only black student on my co-ed floor. During my freshman year, each student was given the opportunity to speak about which schools they had the opportunity to go to and why they picked that institution. For me, I was the only one who had actually mentioned going to historically black colleges and universities was an option for me. And during that time, I had a student who turned to me and said, "It's a good thing you didn't go to a historically black college and university, because that is not the real world." The sad part about that statement is that it revealed a lot of things for me, not only the unconscious bias from it, but also a variety of false assumptions. The reality is that when you say the real world, you haven't clearly defined what do you mean by the real world. You're also making assumptions that going to an institution that is primarily focused on people of color, being a person of color, that I would not be adequately prepared to move in the professional arena because I would only be around people who look like me. Again, all false assumptions, all unconscious bias, but this person literally was approaching me thinking that they were saying something that was helpful. Being faced with a statement like this is not new to people of color, and especially to black people, because we are faced with many micro decisions that we have to make whenever we have individuals who step to us and make these types of statements. Do we educate them? Do we not respond? Do we provide information? Do we challenge them further? Do we ask for more clarification? All of these mental gymnastics that we should not have to do, that we now are forced to have to make the decision about whether we should, in order to ensure that, one, the individual knows that they're coming from a place that they shouldn't be coming from, and two, asking ourselves, do we bear the responsibility of having to address that accordingly? Which is why moving in this arena today can be very exhausting. Because at least in the past, when you had express racism that was prominent during the 50s and the 60s, you knew how to engage accordingly and you knew how to avoid accordingly. However, when you are now in a space where you're dealing with people who truly don't believe that they're discriminatory or bigoted or racist in any way, shape, or form, but they make statements that basically show you to the contrary, it can be exhausting trying to make the decision of whether you should deal with that or if you should let it slide. Which brings me back to the comment about the HBCUs. I came from a family of legacy of persons who went to HBCUs. My mentors went to HBCUs. There's a lot of prominent citizens and prominent men and women who have operated within the space who actually did go to HBCUs. So when this person comes to me and makes this statement, they're making an assumption that a person who goes to these institutions is not likely to succeed in a predominantly white environment, which is clearly not the case. And so for me, at the time, I didn't do anything, mainly because I never had faced a question like that. I was 18 years old. So I was faced with having to decide, how do I respond to this? Now, as the person who I am now, it's even worse because at least with the amount of additional information I have before me, I still have to go through this mental challenge of asking myself, is it worth my energy to even address what was said to me? And that's where the soft, nuanced bigotry can be a problem, because what may feel harmless to one may actually cut deeper to another. This has nothing to do with being politically correct, where people quickly say you can't say what you want to say. It's recognizing that when you say something, you should at least be informed about what you're going to say and be mindful how the person is going to receive it. You just merely espousing something that sounds good to you, thinking in your mind that it may not hurt that individual, does not absolve you of the responsibility of taking upon yourself to say, if I'm talking to someone, how are they going to receive what I'm going to say? For those of you out there, tell me, how many times have you heard a comment like this that cut deep and the person truly in their heart believed that they were saying something that was helpful?